High Court in Lokoja last Friday ordered the chairperson of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Lokoja, to appear before it on May 13, 2024, to show why he should not be committed to prison for allegedly disobeying its order. Presiding Judge I.A. Jamil gave the order while ruling in a suit brought before him by a former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Bello's application initiating a contempt charge against the EFCC chair is part of the former governor's efforts to stop his arraignment and trial on a charge of money laundering to the tune of 80 billion naira. In the meantime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has confirmed the receipt of the refund of $760,000 paid as advance school fees by former Governor Bello for his children at the American International School, Abuja. This was confirmed by spokesman of the anti-graft agency, Dele Uyewale. Earlier, the American International School in Abuja had asked the EFCC to provide what it called authentic banking details for the refund of fees paid by the children of the former governor. Fred Nziako is a trial lawyer, and he now joins me. Good to have you here on This Day Live.
Thank you, Dr.
Mr. Nziako.
Good afternoon.
Okay, we took this subject last week on this program, but there have been more developments since then. Now the Kogi State High Court is charging the EFCC chairman for contempt. This is not the first time this will happen. We had a similar situation with Abdulrasheed Bawa when he was chairman of EFCC. Abdulrasheed Bawa just ignored the court. Now, of what effect is this charge of contempt by the Kogi State High Court, and what do you think is likely to happen? Is the EFCC chairman going to ignore the Kogi State High Court and say, well, they have a matter at the Federal High Court in Abuja?
I want to say emphatically that orders of high courts, that are courts of records, Supreme Court, I mean the Court of Records, should not be ignored. And because it sets a very terrible precedence as if the country is a banana republic. Any country without laws cannot say to be a civil environment. And the judiciary has its responsibility as the third arm of government that will ensure that there are maintenance of law and order in terms of adjudication. And whatever the courts have said must be recognized, because anybody who has gone to court must submit to the adjudication of the court. And if agencies of government that are set by law, established by law, begin to breach the pronouncements of courts, which themselves are also set by law, then of course we are not moving the country in the right direction. The EFCC chairman should, and is expected to obey lawful orders of court. The order of court given by the Kogi State High Court, which is a court of record, to the fact that certain actions should not be done and certain actions should be done. And once, if anybody feels that such an order should not be, the rightful thing to do is to appeal such order. The High Court had given an order that Mr. Yahaya Bello should not be arrested, arraigned, harassed, and prosecuted without leave of court. That caveat is very important, because Yahaya Bello has gone to court saying that he is being persecuted, that he is being hounded unnecessarily and unduly. So it has always been back and forth between him and EFCC. And he said this thing started even while he was in office as governor. And that was when EFCC was arresting his appointees, arresting members of his State Executive Council on charges that they could not even substantiate. So, and EFCC was always insisting that they had issues against Yahaya Bello. And we recall that in 2022 or thereabout, they went to court against the same government. And sometimes the thing got stalled. And even the matter that is now the issue now before the court is a matter that even started sometime in 2021. So, between Yahaya Bello and EFCC, the public is yet to know the truth. And the truth can only be said in the court of law, because one must say the truth in the court of law when you are under oath and when you have taken an affidavit to say the truth. But when you begin to say, give all manner of opinions in the public, sometimes even the social media, not even in the mainstream media, sometimes in the social media, the people get confused as to who is telling the truth. And that is why all eyes are expected to be, all the truths are expected to come from the court, from the judiciary, so that we know exactly what is going on. Now the court is saying that the lawful order issued by the judge, Justice Jamil, is being flouted by EFCC. And of course the chairman should come and give answers to that.
The counsel to Alhaji Yahaya Bello said they got a restraining order on the 9th of February.
Yes.
Now, on the 17th of February, the EFCC, having filed an appeal against that order, then decided to storm Alhaji Bello's residence in Abuja. And Alhaji Bello's counsel is saying, why that order was still subsisting, it amounted to contempt for the EFCC to storm the residence even without a bench warrant. But you know the way the drama unfolded.
Yes.
The EFCC has since obtained a bench warrant on that same day.
On that same day.
Right, to correct whatever
which they said was obtained later in the day.
Subsequently, the Court of Justice in Wite has directed that a substituted service should be served on Alhaji Bello's counsel.
Yes.
Now, with those developments, with the substituted service being given and all of that, can Alhaji Bello still insist that he has not been invited?
Well, with the substituted service served on his counsel, he will no longer say he was not invited. But invitation by EFCC is different from the summons of court. This particular one is court summon. It's different from EFCC invitation, which of course EFCC was claiming that he was invited, and Alhaji Bello has said nobody ever invited him, and he's been challenged EFCC to publish to the public the letter of invitation. When was it delivered? Who received it? And all that. And of course, the public is yet to see that. So the general feeling of the public, and from the back and forth, is that Alhaji Bello was never invited by the EFCC, in which case the EFCC had not told the entire truth with respect to the invitation. Now, you are now talking about the summons by the court. That's a very different ball game. Alhaji Bello cannot say that he has not gotten the summons, since he has been served by substantial means through his counsel. Of course, his counsel is, except if we now says the counsel is no longer representing him in court. But since the counsel is still representing him in court, he has been summoned by the court. But the issue now, which is still hanging, is the issue of disobedience of lawful order of court, which is what has made the High Court to say that chairman of EFCC must show cause why he will not be committed to prison for contempt of court, because they went outside the order of court to lay siege on Alhaji Yahaya Bello, and also went outside the order of court to do those things which the court said they should not do, pending the determination of the substantive suit. The substantive suit has now been determined. Meanwhile, EFCC went to Court of Appeal to challenge that interim order. And the matter was slated for hearing on 22nd of April, while the substantive suit now came out on 17th of April. So by 22nd of April, the suit at the Court of Appeal had become academic, and then they had to quickly withdraw that. So as at now, there is no appeal on that matter pending before the Court of Appeal. What we are now looking at is the substantive judgment by the High Court of Kogi State. And there is also another substantive judgment by the FCT High Court, which also surrounds the whole issue about payment of school fees and non-payment of school fees, which of course the EFCC also has some questions to answer. Bottom line, Dr. Abate, is we cannot build a country with this type of approach to law. Approach to law in the sense that you don't pick and choose which order to obey and which one not to obey. Every court that is set up by the Constitution as a competent court of justice must be respected. Because if you don't respect that, then we are not practicing civilian democracy.
Well, it's good you mentioned the part of the school. The school put out a statement
Yes.
Yes, it's committed to providing service to parents and their students, but at the EFCC asked them to return the money. That, you know, the $760,000 was a matter before the court. And the school said, well, being law-abiding institution, they decided to return the money. Now, do you think that the school acted rightly? Because Alhaji Yahya Bello has also come forward to say that money has nothing to do with the resources of the state government. In other words, that would be a matter before the court, but it looks like the EFCC has gone ahead and collected the money without the matter being determined by the court.
The school wouldn't have acted rightly because there is a subsisting judgment, or rather judgment of court in that regard. The school went into an agreement, which they call the post-paid school fees agreement, something like that, in August 2021. All this are in the public domain, with not just Yahya Bello, but his family. Because when the EFCC now pressed that they should return the money, the school, it wasn't today, they started pressing since 2022. The member of the family now went to court to bring an action against the school, asking the court to give declaratory orders so that the school should not, the money that I have received from my family, and go and pay it to a third party that is not part of that agreement. And the court gave a substantive judgment in November 2023 that the school should not pay that money to a third party. That is a subsisting judgment that has not been vacated, that has not been vitiated, that has not even been appealed against. Now, if the school went and paid that money to EFCC, that is a breach of the judgment of the court, in which case the school stands in contempt of the judgment of court. That is exactly what it is. And if the school is saying, oh, we are respecting agency of government or a certain institution of government, is the court not a recognized institution of government that deserves to be respected? If you place it on a balance between EFCC and the courts, which one deserves more respect? Which one is an arbiter in matters like this? EFCC is a complainant and should not be seen as a judge in their matter. So what the school has done is not only throwing away their own money, because as far as the Bello family is concerned, the school has just thrown away the money they paid to them, to EFCC, and the issues now begin to arise when they stop giving those children the academic training that for which the family has paid that amount of money for. But as far as the court is concerned, the school also stands in contempt, and what they cannot be right.